Well, hello there, fam. Welcome to You Plant, We Water. I am your host, Dr. Toya Flowers, licensed professional counselor with a PhD in counselor education and supervision. And as you are well aware, if you've tuned in before, I specialize in working with couples, in particular high conflict couples. So here on this corner of the world, we are focused on combining our faith, mental health, so that we can have the happy, healthy, thriving relationships, not only that we deserve, but that God wants for you. So, welcome once again. I've got a great topic for you today entitled What Does It Look Like When We're Not Speaking the Same Language? And we are going to be taking a clip from a viral reality TV show couple moment from the television show Married to Medicine. And we're going to be analyzing that. And I'm going to be sharing, my petty professional and prophetic lens on exactly what appears to have transpired from what was shown on the television show. But before we do that, I'm going to be remiss if I do not plug our upcoming free annual Her Women's Conference. Her standing for healing, exhortation, and restoration. The Her Women's Conference will be occurring on Saturday, May 2nd from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Shepherd's Community Church. We have 6 absolutely dynamic women lined up as your speakers. It's possible. I've got a flyer that we can queue up that's going to have the QR code so you can register for said conference. Again, it is completely free. Each of these women is pouring out from their heart. Even myself, God just put it on our spirit to give our first fruits to Him and His people. And so that's what we're doing. As you can see, we're going to be covering topics like what happens when the strong woman is exhausted, healing from church hurt, faith after disappointment. And our 2026 theme in particular is Take Me to the King, turning pain into purpose. So we're going to just be pouring into each other. Iron sharpens iron, and I do mean pouring into each other. Though this is something that I am spearheading and I will be speaking at, I am absolutely excited to be poured into and encouraged as well. So be sure to register for the Her Conference. It is certainly filling up. We have some special giveaways and prizes for everyone, but we're going to be doing something extra special for, I believe it's going to be our first 25 people to sign up. We're going to have some preferential seating and some extra goodies for you. So hurry and get registered for that, because as you might imagine, those preferential first 25 are nearly gone, but there's still just a little bit of room and a little bit of time. So can't wait to see you at the Her Conference. All right, beautiful, beautiful people. So like I said, we're going to be talking about what happens when we're speaking different languages, right? And we're going to get to see it in real time. And ultimately what this is we're going to revisit the 5 love languages, then take a look at this viral couple moment, and then share some insights. I'm going to break it down for you, analyze it for you as your local friendly neighborhood doctor. Okay, so let's start by reminding ourselves, what are we talking about when we talk about the five love languages? So the five love languages is something that was invented by Dr. Gary Chapman from Moody Bible Institute, and it is a way of understanding communication between couples. And ultimately, what he has found and described is that there are five primary love languages. One being quality time. If this is your love language, then you value not the quantity of time, but the quality of time that someone spends with you or that you spend with others. If this is your love language, you are likely to have your cell phone off when you're with family and friends, right? You'll probably put it down during dinner. You are probably the type of person who's going to show up to every football, basketball, and volleyball game of people who are near and dear to you, because quality time is your love language. One way we can tell what our love language is, as I go over these five very quickly, is it's not only going to be what you want to receive, right? What means a lot to you. So if quality time is your love language, somebody showing up to, your first play is really going to mean a lot to you. But it's not only what means a lot to you, it's also instinctively how you show love to others, right? Remember that when we watch that clip. So we've got quality time. Second, we have, what's another one? My brain's going blank. Physical touch, okay? So physical touch is not just touch that leads to some form of physical intimacy, but again, remember, you can see love languages at play even in children. Physical touch is those people who feel loved and encouraged when maybe given a hug, or they really like to cuddle or sit really close. If it's a kid, a way to tell them that they're doing a good job is you're probably going to give them a pat on the back or a thumbs up or give me that high five, right? Physical touch. As adults, like I said, it may be cuddling, sitting close. You may really love holding hands, all those good things. So that's physical touch. Quality time, physical touch. We have acts of service. If this is your love language, you do for others, or you like when they do for you. You might show or express love by cleaning the house for your loved one, or taking their car to get an oil change, right? You do something, you give some type of service to show love. And so that's also how you feel appreciated. So for Mother's or Father's Day, you might really like having someone provide breakfast in bed for you, right? Because that's acts of service. So we got quality time, physical touch, acts of service. Then we also have words of affirmation. I love this one. It's my own. But if your love language is words of affirmation, you really just want to be told, right? You want to hear it from someone like, hey, you did a really good job on XYZ project. You want to hear your loved one say, I love you. I appreciate you. I see how hard you're working. It doesn't always have to be spoken. It could be cards. Like, I actually read every card. Sometimes I spend hours in Walgreens trying to find a card for someone, and it's probably not their love language. They're probably not going to read it. I know my mama not. I know she just looking for the money inside, but I spend hours in there, mama, looking at them cards. But those type of things really matter if they're your words of affirmation. Another thing, you might really love lyrics to songs. It's because it's the words that mean a lot. And so you're not someone who's going to miss the opportunity to tell someone you love them, or you did a good job, or great job scoring that goal, right? So we've had, I forgot what I went over. I went over quality time, physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, and the fifth and final love language is gifts. And again, I want you to remember, think about how you actually show love, not just what you want, because we all love gifts, right? But you'll know this is your primary love language if you find yourself often giving gifts to other people. My oldest son, ever since he was allowed to shop, so I'm talking about like 5 years old, this has been his love language, gifts. And how did we know? We give them like $10 to buy presents for family members for holidays and take them to the Dollar Tree. And just like I spent hours reading cards, that boy knew just what he was going to get each family member. And he put so much thought into it, because gifts is how he shows love. So if this is your love language, it's not just the big gifts. You're the type of person who might really appreciate finding a special treat if your loved one packed your lunch for you, right? And they put something that I can't think of it. Maybe you really love Twinkies, and they put a little Twinkie in there with a bow. You're going to find really meaningful. Like, how sweet, right? So those are our 5 love languages. Now, remember, I want you to keep these in mind. We've got acts of service, quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, and gifts. Now, we've talked about these before. And y'all, while I was watching, I don't know if y'all know this, but I do enjoy reality TV. People don't like to watch it with me because as a therapist, I'm always analyzing things. But I love a good reality TV show. And while watching a popular show, Married to Medicine, there's a beautiful couple, and I hate that they are going through the struggle that they're going through, but maybe we can use that moment that was captured on TV to help other couples who might be going through similar struggles, or better yet, help you where you don't ever have to go through this type of struggle. But the couple is Quad Webb, and the gentleman she was dating, his name is King. I don't remember his last name. But anyway, they've been dating for at least a year or so. And, there's been a lot of pressure on their relationship as of late because they have been going through infertility treatments. And what we see as counselors is anytime there's pressure from any type of life situation, that's typically when issues start to form within any type of couple relationship, whether it's mother-son, father-daughter, husband and wife, right? But what was captured is a scene where they are just kind of talking about the current state of their relationship, and you can clearly see the love languages at play. What's interesting is, I think maybe in that same episode, maybe a week or two before in the same episode, they'd all gone on a couple's kind of trip, and they all talked about the 5 love languages. So they're even going to mention the love languages a little bit. They're going to do like a recap. But we're going to watch it, and then I'm going to give you an analysis. Is our video queued up? Beautiful.
If she could read his mind, she would have just looked at him and said, that ain't it.
First of all, everyone's talking about marriage, but is it really necessary? It's like sometimes 2 companies may not need a merge.
Well,
They could thrive on their own, and they could benefit each other.
watch yourself.
I've thought about it a lot. You yourself said, hey, I haven't been giving you what you deserve, what you need.
Did I do anything today in terms of acts of service?
Steam those clothes.
No, I didn't steam his clothes.
What I need is consideration and appreciation.
Honey, oh my God, do you need a hearing aid? All I do is give you praises. There has never been one time when you have shown up for me, I scream it to the top of my lungs, ready to tell any and everybody. Now that is a true statement.
Screaming it versus showing it, 2 different things.
Okay, how would you like for me to show it? The floor is yours. How would you like for me to show up?
For instance, the last time we went to Ghana, right? The whole time there, I'm there in support of you. And because of what you're going through, you're beating up on me, acting like I was the enemy. Wrong or right?
About what?
Everything. There was a lot of tension. I look at that, it's like, damn, you're ungrateful. You see how that could come off?
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
But I'm still working through some things, right?
Have the 2 of you tried to modify things that you took away from the couple's trip?
I will say hands down. I tried. I did a whole lot of self-reflecting. I did all that I could do.
It's been a different type of year.
Yeah.
It's definitely been different.
But if I'm out here doing it by myself, then
No, you definitely didn't do it by yourself. I tried to the point of exhaustion. I definitely tried.
Well, we're gonna disagree here.
Yeah, we could agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I'm still not trying to put you to the test, baby. I don't have. Let me see.
It definitely feels like a test.
But that's what's wrong with men now. Men are sassy now.
No rebuttals. Just keep going.
Are you trying to be difficult?
I'm the one that's picking up the pieces, so.
Baby, don't count me short and don't count me small. I go through a lot, but I'm very strong and I'm very tough. And again, I always bounce back and I get better. every single time.
The biggest issue came down to emotional distance. King appeared cold
Oh,
and disconnected, almost like he had already mentally checked out of the
So, as we can see, there was a lot going on there, right? What I want to do is start by taking a guess. What do you think their love languages were? Okay, we heard King saying, and she kind of told you his is acts of service. When they did that recap, she made it clear it was acts of service because she thought, did I do any acts of service? But what he said was, I just need to have some consideration and appreciation. I want to feel considered and appreciated. Now, here's what I want you to keep in mind. The way we feel considered and appreciated is going to depend on our love language. So if you notice, as soon as he said that, like, I just need consideration and appreciation, she said, oh my goodness, you have got to be kidding me. I am constantly screaming your name to the rooftops, talking about all the wonderful things you do. Keyword, what do we hear? Screaming, talking. Her love language is likely words of affirmation. So from her perspective, she is doing absolutely everything she can to show him love by giving him praises and constantly acknowledging the beautiful things that she sees him doing for her. What is his rebuttal? You could talk about it, but you don't show it. Why does he still feel not considered and appreciated? Because his love language is acts of service. And so he wants to see something demonstrated, some type of service. So he brings up a trip when they were in Ghana and how it felt like she was targeting him and blaming him for things going wrong. And that may or may not have been happening, but her way to repair during that time was probably to say something to show she appreciated him, right? To say, I know, baby, I've been really stressed, but I do appreciate you being here. And he could receive it, but if she were speaking his love language, he'd really be able to receive it. So for instance, if while at Ghana, I don't know, if she had, treated him to massage or something, I don't know, right? But done some type of act of service. I don't know what she could have done while she was there in Ghana, or steamed his clothes, as you mentioned, or something like that. That would have gone a long way towards him feeling considered and appreciated. But that conflict back and forth, where they're going back and forth and like, I am doing it. And at one point they were saying, which one of them has been trying harder? They're both trying. They're both trying. And it breaks my heart to see the conflict between the two of them because they're both trying. They're just doing it from their own love language. They're literally screaming at each other with their love language right now. I often tell my clients when I'm teaching them the 5 love languages, pretty much like I did at the start of the show, I tell them that what happens during conflict is because our love language is native to us, is natural to us. What happens when we're in conflict is we just get louder with our love language. So for instance, if I said, ¿Cómo parlez-vous français? Or ¿Hablas tú español? Or do you speak English? Right? I just said that in 3 different languages, 3 different tongues. However, if I'm saying, ¿Hablas tú español? And the person is French, right? And they're saying, no. What typically happens is we just get louder. And I'm saying, hablas tú español? And they're still saying, no, right? So that's just kind of our natural instinct. And what we want to do, right? None of us are going to get this perfect. I am a whole couples and family therapist, and I don't even get it right all the time, right? But what is great is if in that moment of conflict, you can try to listen for your partner's love language and then speak that, right? Try to translate. So I'm still saying, hablas tú español? And they're saying, no, maybe they speak English. Then I might say, do you speak English? And if they say, yes, then I can try the little bit of English that I know, right? Or get a translator or something like that, but meeting each other in the middle. So you can see this couple butting heads. He's steady speaking acts of service. She's steady speaking words of affirmation. What though they are seeing it as not feeling appreciated, and honestly, they're not feeling love. And sadly, this couple has broken up at this point and they're no longer together. I could see the love. The love was there, though there may have been frustration, disappointment, and a lot of emotional distance. And it was clear throughout several episodes that King had begun to maybe emotionally distance himself or check out from the relationship. The love was still present, right? And so that's what we're looking at. You might be thinking, well, what could they have done different? So when he says, I don't feel seen or appreciated, and she says, oh my gosh, I'm constantly screaming to the mountaintops of how wonderful you are. It's okay to say that. She's speaking from her love language and trying to express to him, like, hey, this is what I've been doing to try to show that appreciation. But one thing I loved that she did in that moment of conflict, she said, well, how would you like to show me? How would you like me to show you that you're appreciated? Beautiful, Quad Web. You nailed that thing, baby. That's my petty. She nailed that, right? That's beautiful. How would you like me to show you that I appreciate you? That was beautiful, right? And then he began to talk about something, an example from the past. And if they hadn't got derailed by heated conflict, when he brought up that example from the past, a good follow-up question might have been, okay, so when we were in Ghana, what could I have done differently that would have made you feel appreciated? And then he could have shared, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And then after they address his unmet needs, once that's fully talked about, then they move on to hers. And then she can say, all right, and here's what I need. I need to when I'm making an effort, I need to hear you say, I see you, babe. I see you trying. I appreciate you, right? So last piece I want to leave you with, because I've been petty by sharing my love of reality shows. We've been professional. And so now we're going to examine the prophetic, right? Because during my studies, God just kind of spoke to me more specifically about the love languages. And so I am going to be reading to you all from 1 Corinthians 14 to be precise. Now, when Paul was talking to the Corinth church, right, about the gifts, and he was saying, talking about the gifts of tongues and the gift of prophecy and all of those things, he used a real world analogy or metaphor to try to help them to understand the spiritual concept that he was talking about. And so I am going to read that real world analogy now. So I'm reading 1 Corinthians 14, starting at verse 10. Okay. Undoubtedly, there are all sorts of languages in the world, yet none of them is without meaning. If then I do not grasp the meaning of what someone is saying, I am a foreigner to the speaker, and he is a foreigner to me, right? So we could see that they were speaking differently. If we just apply this real world analogy specifically to the 5 love languages, we could see how they became foreigners to one another, even though they are in an intimate, loving couple relationship, and they probably feel that they have known each other better than any other person on the planet. But in that moment, with speaking different languages, you become a foreigner to one another. Relatedly, I want to read 1 Corinthians 14, verse 19, where Paul goes on to say, but in the church, I would rather speak 5 intelligible words to instruct others than 10,000 words in a tongue. He'd rather speak 5 intelligible words than 10,000 words in a tongue. Now, obviously, he's talking about speaking in tongues, right? But the point is that it is better to speak the same language and be heard and understood than to go on and on and on in a tongue that makes your partner a foreigner. And then the last scriptural reference I want to go to, right, is Proverbs. And I want to go to Proverbs 18 and 21. And I'm going to read 22. but specifically 21. The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. I'm going to go on to read verse 22 because I don't think it's any coincidence that it goes right after the power of life and death is in the tongue. Then it says, he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. So again, we want to remember that the power of life and death is in fact in the tongue, right? We can speak life or we can speak death. And when it comes to understanding and incorporating the wisdom and knowledge, not only of the word of God, but of practical, practical tips and advice, specifically the use of the 5 love languages to our relationships. This can help us bridge the gap so that we're not becoming foreigners, so that we don't attack each other and become the enemy to one another when there's a problem. As I said, this couple has been under a tremendous amount of stress, right? So it's no surprise that they were struggling with communication. But had they had a little bit of help and support so that they wouldn't have turned against each other, but instead have come alongside one another to attack the true enemy, the true problem, right? The true problem is the infertility, right? The true enemy is the infertility, and maybe even the enemy, right? Maybe even there's some confusion coming in, the father of lies, all of those things. But the point is that they would come together as a team, not this, but this. I like that. I made that up, y'all. But this. Now I don't know nothing about boxing, but that is a little bit. So I hope that this analysis was helpful. It's rare that we kind of get an opportunity to see some of these things playing out in real time and real life. So I am grateful for this episode. I am sending prayers to this couple. If there is, a possibility of reconciliation, or if there is still love there, and it's just a matter of them having the skills to, one, understand when the other is trying to show consideration and appreciation, and two, to receive that consideration and appreciation. I hope that will happen. I hope that if they are meant to be together, that they come back together, right? The word of God says that whom God has joined together, let no man put asunder. So if it is meant to be, I truly hope it will be. And remember, love never fails. So again, that is the 5 love languages. You have gotten an analysis from your girl, Dr. Toya Flowers, here on You Plant, We Water. As always, please feel free to visit our Facebook page, You Plant, We Water, to share any feedback you have, questions, comments, concerns. If you want to know more about the 5 love languages, perhaps you are in need of therapy, you could use a recommendation, depending on what city or state or country even that you're watching from. That is a great place to get a hold of me. I will be launching a website, drtoyaflowers.com, in just a bit, and that'll be another way that you can easily get information. Keep in mind, we have our first annual HER Women's Conference, Healing, Exhortation, and Restoration, taking place on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Our host is Shepherd's Community Church at 10 West 150th Street in Harvey, Illinois. Don't meet us there, beat us there. This thing, y'all, is going to be a true experience, and I hope that you'll be able to take part in it as well. Having said all that, as always, you plant, we water, God gives the increase.